with a chronic health condition, obviously there's a lot of needs that we have that we can't always manage to meet in the same way as we might if we're healthy and well. It may be that a lot of the parts that normally we manage to live with in harmony, such as the people pleaser or the caregiving part. Maybe we're a parent or the people pleaser. We like to make sure that everybody around us is happy, or the inner critic who's always telling us what needs to get done, and if we're unwell, perhaps this voice can be very loud in our heads, and it might be that we don't have the resources or energy or ability to meet the demands of the inner critic. And so I would say that for me personally, with long COVID, IFS has been really transformational in just hearing out all these different parts and really going into a sort of dialogue with them to find out what their needs are, where they started to feel out of control or not heard. Because sometimes, they can be shouting really loudly within us, like the inner critic, can just nag all day, and it sometimes feels like it might be the only voice you hear. But when we really pay attention to that part, sometimes, and we try and hear what its needs are and the reasons behind its needs, it may be that it knows that if in the past, if we haven't kept up certain standards, that things go wrong in an interpersonal way with other people or in our work. And so it's got concerns. And hearing that part and really listening, working out a way of separating it out so that our strong self, can really witness and give compassion to that, makes it possible to not only meet the needs of that part, but also then hear the voice of the self, which is where we're trying to get to. And I think when you're suffering from a long-term health condition, there can be a lot of fear around what the symptoms mean, especially if you haven't had enough medical diagnosis or treatment. And our current medical situation with GPs being so stretched and some treatments not being available for certain conditions, it can be that it can be very frightening and very depressing, and it can get us into a victim mode. And this part can get quite strong and sort of take over our whole system. And it's really helpful to, again, be able to separate that out and hear the self, which is connected to an enormous amount of energy and resourcing and compassion, which really is probably the most important thing we need in order to rest and recover and feel safe, feel that we're coping, feel that we are going to be essentially all right. So I'd really recommend, if you want to find out a little bit more about this and work with me, I'd really recommend getting in touch on email and just letting me know a little bit about yourself, and we can have a chat and see whether IFS might be able to help you in your recovery. Because I think once we've got more connection with our self energy, it gives us huge potential, not only for recovery, but for transformation in many other areas of our life.